Hey fellow Dashers, it's Dean again here. In this video, I'm going to ask you guys to take a back seat because this video is specifically for the Doordash customer. In today's video, I'm going to talk about 10 ways that you as a Doordash customer can get your food delivered more efficiently, on time, while it's still hot, and also things that you could do to help the Dasher get your food to you, within the allotted amount of time. Okay, there are a bunch of things that you guys are doing that are slowing down your own delivery. So in this video, I'm going to talk about those 10 things and what you can do to speed up the delivery of your order. So we're going to start this off right off the bat with number 1, update your order comments to reflect the current order. Now, previously I did a video that I will put a link to at the end of this video, talking about when you place the order within the app and you're on that final page before you actually make the payment, you have the ability to edit all the different parts of the order, including the instructions, okay? So now, whenever you make a change to the instructions, so let's say last night you ordered Chinese food, and again, I talked about this in that previous video, and let's say you wanted some extra soy sauce, so you put in the instructions for the driver to ask the restaurant for extra soy sauce. And let's say this morning you said, okay, I want to get McDonald's. So you have McDonald's ordered and you don't look or you don't edit or you don't change those order comments. The Dasher is going to get to McDonald's and see the instructions that say, please ask for extra soy sauce. And the Dasher is going to run around confused because he doesn't know why you're asking for soy sauce while he's at McDonald's. So whenever you're about to place an order and you get to that final page, and you can see that a picture of that page right here, right? When you're on that final page, make sure that the order comments are appropriate for the order that you're currently on and not some leftover from some previous order that you placed, last night, the day before, last week, okay? Very important. Make sure your order comments are correct so that the Dasher doesn't have any problems when he does that pickup, okay? So here's advice number 2. Choose either hand to customer or leave by door and make sure the instructions don't contradict each other. Okay, so many times, if you take a look at this right here, you're going to see something that a Dasher sees all the time, where the initial comment says hand to customer, and then in the order instructions that are left by you, it says leave by door. So now the Dasher doesn't know if he's supposed to knock on the door, ring the bell, and give it to you, or leave it by the door. You're leaving a contradictory statement. So again, when you're at that final page and before you make payment for your order, check the order comments to make sure that there's no contradiction in the main order instruction, which is either hand to customer or leave by door, and the instructions that you guys actually put in there yourself. So if it's a hand to customer, if you want the Dasher to knock on the door and give it to you, make sure that the instructions underneath say the same thing. Don't have 2 different instructions for the Dasher because some Dashers don't know what to do, and then they're going to try to call you, and half the time you guys don't even pick up. So they don't even know what to do with the order. So make sure that those 2 things are in alignment with each other and not contradictory. Okay, so now advice number 3, and this is a big one. If you know that your house doesn't show up on the map correctly, use the adjust pin function to show the correct location. I can't tell you how many orders that I've seen where within the instruction there's an entire novel written by the customer on the precise location of their house. They know that Google Maps is not showing the correct location, so they're trying to describe to the driver while he's driving how to get to the house. Make a right turn at the mailbox, you're going to see a red wall with blood on it. Make a left over there. When you get to the house, don't go to that house, go to the house behind the house. You don't need to do any of that, right? So if you take a look at the screen right here, I'm going to show you. So if you go to your main Doordash app and you go into the account settings, and then you go to address, right? So when you're at address, you can see here this button that says adjust pin. And what that function allows you to do is to use your fingers and move the map so that the pin falls directly on your house, okay? So sometimes Google Maps is incorrect, especially if you have new construction and the house isn't actually listed correctly or it's not even listed yet, right? By using that adjust pin function, instead of attempting to use the address, Google Maps will then use the longitude and latitude of the pin when you drop the pin on the location of your home. So there's no need to describe to the driver where you live. Learn how to use that adjust pin function. Once you set it for that address, you're done. You never have to do it again, okay? And the same thing goes if you live in an apartment complex. You know, a lot of times Dashers have a really hard time dealing with apartment complexes because it's not always in sequence. You know, some of the buildings are out of order. You have building 1, followed by building 5, followed by building 3. So everything's very confusing. So what you could do is you could actually use that adjust pin function to let the pin fall directly on the location of the apartment and the building. That will make your delivery so much faster, especially if you live in an apartment complex. All right? So you don't have to use all those fancy instructions to tell us how to get there. Just move the pin where it needs to go, and we will find you. Number 4, if you do live in an apartment complex and there's a gate, include the gate code within the order instructions. So you live in an apartment complex made up of many buildings, and then when you first come in the complex, there's this big iron gate that opens and closes. You have a remote control. If you don't have a remote, there's usually a call box that has the keypad on it to enter a gate code. If you know that you live in an apartment complex with a gate, include the gate code within the instructions, because otherwise the Dasher has no way of getting inside the apartment complex, right? How many times I've gotten to the apartment complex and the whole way there, I'm texting the customer and saying, hey, is there a gate code? Do you have a gate code for me? I can't get in. Do you have a gate code? Or I'm sitting outside the gate and I'm waiting to piggyback on somebody else that's coming in, right? Like I'm sneaking in behind them. So please make sure you include the gate code if you live in an apartment complex. Very simple. All right, number 5. If you're having an order delivered to you at work and you work in a store or office, include the name of the business in the instructions. Okay, so I've delivered, especially at lunchtime, you're going to deliver to a lot of people that work in, let's say, an office building or a building that consists of different doorways with different offices, or it's actually just the entire building is, Target, Lowe's, whatever it is. I've delivered food to PetSmart. Make sure that when you do that, don't just put the address, because sometimes business buildings, there's one address, but then there's different suites, suite A, suite B, suite C. Sometimes those suites go wrapping around the building. We don't have any idea where it is, right? The only thing that we can see as a driver is the name of the businesses that are either on the door or above the suites. So if you're working at a place that's a store or an office, just add that into the instructions. What is the name of the store? Again, this is somebody I deliver to at PetSmart all the time. She works inside the dog grooming section of PetSmart, and she puts that in the instructions. PetSmart, dog grooming, blah, blah, blah. Easy to find. I know where she is. I don't have to go wandering around the mall trying to find this person, okay? So if you work at a business, add that to the instructions. Very helpful. It'll help get your food to you faster. Number 6, if it's nighttime, or it's just dark outside, leave the porch light on so we can see where we're putting the order. Again, so many times people order, it's nighttime or it's dusk. They know that by the time that you get there, it's going to be dark. I've delivered to houses that are on large properties, very dark. It's off the beaten path. There are no street lights. You get to the house, the porch light is off. I'm tripping on the porch stairs. I don't know if I'm walking on the walkway or if I'm stepping on a landmine. I don't know what's going on because I can't see anything. And then I get to the door and it's really, really dark and I can't tell if the door opens in or out, if there's a screen door. So I don't want to put the food directly in front of the door if it's a door that's going to open outbound, because then you'll be pushing the food open with the door. So please, if you're waiting for delivery and you live in a house and you know that the porch is going to be dark, because it's dark outside, please put the porch light on so we can see what we're doing. All right, number 7. Again, if you live in a home, don't block the path to your front door with your vehicle, especially if it's raining and the grass is wet or muddy. So here's a picture that I took of a regular customer that I go to, and every time I deliver there, she has a Ford F-150. sitting in the driveway, really bumped up against, the very, very edge of the concrete of the driveway, and the front of the truck is practically touching the garage. So that the only way that I can get there's no path from the street, to the front door. The path is usually coming off of the driveway. And so the only way I can get there is to walk through the grass. Now, I've done that on days where it's pouring rain out, and I'm walking through the grass, and my feet are getting covered in mud, and it's slippery, and then I get to the front door, and then I get back to my car, and then I got my muddy feet getting all over my, my car rugs, okay? If I don't know, if you park like that normally, I don't know why you would, but if you do, and you're waiting for an order, make sure that there's a path for the dasher to get to your front door, that they don't have to climb over a fence and go through mud and walk up a hill in the mud and the grass, because they're going to slide back down, especially if the dasher's an old lady, So try not to park your car butt up against the grass on the edge of the driveway. Or if you do that, at least leave a space so we can come up the driveway and go around the front of the car to the walkway to the house. Don't just block us both ways. All right? Just please. All right, number 8. If you're waiting for an order to be delivered, have your phone close to you in case the dasher needs to call you or text you with important information about your order. So the dasher may be at the restaurant, and the restaurant, they go to make the pickup, and the restaurant says, hey, we don't have Mountain Dew, but we have Sprite, right? So now the dasher obviously has to call you to see if that's okay with you to make that switch out, right? Or if it's a food item, and either they don't have it, or they have an alternate substitution, the dasher needs to get a hold of you. So if you just placed an order a little while ago, and then you take your phone and you leave it in the kitchen while you go take a shower, and the dasher is trying to call you or text you because there's a problem with the order, have your phone with you until the food gets to you. Some people don't walk around with their phones. Some people, their phones are part of their anatomy, and they don't ever put it down like me. But if you're one of those people that don't really have their phone in their hand, please make sure to at least have your phone with you until the order shows up. Very often there's a reason for a dasher to contact the customer if there's a problem with the order. If we can't get a hold of you, we don't know what to do. It takes much longer to figure things out with the restaurant. It delays your food. It drives the dasher wild when they can't get a hold of you. So keep your phone with you the entire time until your food is delivered, and then you can take your phone and throw it in the garbage. Number 9, if you're thinking about tipping in cash and you don't include any tip within the order, your order will take much longer to arrive, if it arrives at all. Okay, so now I know that there's some people that don't understand the way DoorDash works, right? And they don't tip at all, right? They don't know, they think that the dasher is employed by DoorDash and they're getting paid, so they don't include a tip. But most people do include a tip, and when they do, some people have the intention of tipping in cash, right? So they have the idea, well, it's better for the driver. This way he doesn't have to pay taxes on it. He won't have to report it on his taxes. But when you do that, you have to understand that right now, for example, the base pay for DoorDash is $2.25, unless you live further and further away, and then it goes up a little bit. But the average base pay for DoorDash that pays the driver is $2.25. If your intention is to pay a cash tip, even if it's very generous, let's say you order $30 worth of food and you're going to give the driver a $10 bill, and you say, you know what, I'll pay for it in cash. You put hand to customer so that the dasher has to knock on your door. Nobody is going to see that. All they're going to see is an offer to deliver an order that's going 7 miles away, right? So the return trip is at least a half a gallon of gas. And all they're seeing is a base pay of $2.25. That order is going to be like every dasher is going to get that order. They're going to decline. No one's going to pick it up, right? Eventually you'll get some brand new dasher that doesn't know what they're doing, didn't know that they can decline it. That will eventually pick up the order, but that's not always the case. There are some customers that don't tip at all within the app, even if they were going to tip in cash. But those that don't tip within the app, their bag will sit in the restaurant until the end of time, because nobody is going to drive, for $2.25, spend 25 minutes making a trip. Half the money is going to go to gas anyway, because they just used a half a gallon of gas, right? Which is almost the entire amount of the base pay for nothing. You may be tipping in cash, and you may mean well when you do that, all right? And we do appreciate that. So this is my advice. If you're going to tip in cash, and let's say you're a generous tipper, and let's say you're going to tip $10, you know what? Tip $5 on the app so that it looks like a decent order that any dasher will pick up. And when the dasher gets there, if you feel so, inclined, you can give the dasher an extra $5 tip in cash. Don't do the whole thing in cash because you'll never see your order, right? Nobody's going to pick it up. So if you want to tip in cash, do a little bit on the app so at least somebody will pick it up. And then if you feel like it, give them some extra money, okay? And we certainly appreciate that. Every dasher does, right? So thanks ahead of time. And number 10, which is not so much advice on how to get your food faster, it's just something that we are begging you as drivers. Don't give the dasher a negative rating for missing items. It's not their fault, it's the restaurant's fault. So over the years, I've had customers when they go to rate me as a driver, they'll actually put, items missing from my order, or my sandwich was, it was the wrong sandwich, right? Now, as a driver, and especially since COVID, most of the bags are sealed. They have labels, holding the bag closed. Some of the bags are self-sealing. As a driver, we're not allowed to open the bag and go rummaging through your food to make sure everything's correct. If you ordered, provolone cheese on your roast beef sandwich, we don't know if there's cheese or not. We don't know if there's American cheese instead of provolone. That is not the job of the driver. I will say it's the job of the driver to look at the order and some of the obvious things, like if I know that there's supposed to be two drinks on the order and I'm picking it up and they're only handing me one drink, I'll say, hey, there's supposed to be 2 drinks. And then they go, oh, crap, and then they'll give me the second one. That is something that the dasher could do. But if the dasher doesn't know that in this giant bag of food that you're missing French fries, there's no way for us to know that. That is not something that you should put in the dasher review because it's negative for the dasher. I mean, there are times where the customer, like I drop off, take a picture, I go on my next delivery, and the customer contacts me like 2 minutes later and said, hey, my soup is missing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. There's no way for me to know that. By this point, I'm taking time out of my day to talk to the customer, give them the number to DoorDash, give them a call. Hopefully they'll send somebody to pick it up. I'm actually on another order. I can't go and retrieve that for you. You need to contact the restaurant or contact DoorDash. And then I get off the phone with them, and then they give me a negative rating because their soup was missing. How the hell am I supposed to know that? It's in a sealed bag. Do you want us to open the bags and go rummaging through your food? I don't think so. Nobody wants that. So please, we're just begging you, don't make that part of the rating for the driver, right? It's not the driver's fault. It's the restaurant's fault. Okay, so hopefully this advice will help, the regular DoorDash customers out there, help the dasher get the food to you faster, right? If you want your food faster, if you want it to still be hot, please do these 10 things that I'm asking you to do. The dasher will appreciate it. It'll be better for you. It'll be better for us. It'll just be better all around, okay? So just be aware of the things that I've mentioned before. Hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully you didn't realize that you forgot the gate code in your apartment complex. Hopefully you realize that you've been leaving the porch light off and now you'll turn it on. Hopefully this will be helpful. So anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Drivers, I'm sure you can relate to everything I just said. I'm sure you're laughing at some of this stuff because you probably deal with it every day. But as a DoorDash customer, thank you for watching. And I will see you guys in the next video. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. It helps in the algorithm so that I can get more subscribers, maybe. Anyway, talk to you guys later. Have a good dash.